Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing Anarchy Chess based on the subreddit, which introduces a whole new set of pieces and rules, like the underage pawn, which must be captured if seen by a bishop, or nuclear fusion, where a knight and a rook land on the same square to spawn a nook, or my favorite, long passant, whereby en passant can be chained together for multiple captures. My goal is to win one game. Let's get started with game number one. Alright, game number one, as you can see we have a whole new array of brand new pieces, not to mention an absolute arsenal of brand new rules that we have to play by. I will quickly flash them on screen so you get a broad strokes idea, but we'll learn more about each as we go. Now for this very first game, as you can see I've paired myself against the Anarchy bot, since I'm going to use this more as a sandbox to try and learn all of these different rules. Like one of the rules I believe is that you can actually throw your pawns. You can see if I highlight this pawn, it also highlights the 3 squares behind it, and if I land it on my queen, it'll show me a couple of different ways that I can throw the pawn. The first seems to land on d6, the second on e6 rather, and then the final one on f6. So I can't actually make it to the end of the board, but I can at least develop my pawn very far out into the center, so I suppose I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, as you can see I have thrown my pawn out to e6. It will be stunned for one move, but other than that, it should be totally fine. The bot develops its horse, or knight I suppose, out to c8. Oh, that's the other thing. You'll notice the board is now 10 by 10, because it did have to make room to accommodate some of these new suspicious pieces, like the anti-queen, which can move to any square that a queen can't move to, which funny enough somehow just turns it back into a knight. So I'll go ahead and develop my anti-queen. The bot seems to have launched one of its own pawns all the way out to i5. Now, should I capture, this bishop would be able to take back. And the reason I'm interested in capturing is because these are neutral rooks, and they decide which side they play for based on which side has more pieces adjacent to it. So right now, obviously we have this pawn lying horizontal on i5, which does mean that black has more pieces next to this rook, which means that at least right now in this specific position, the black pieces have control over how this rook moves. Unfortunately, in this case, capturing the pawn would probably just lead to a recapture by the bishop, and I don't think I accomplished much from that, since obviously the enemy bishop would still be next to that rook. Now, what I can do is I can push this pawn straight ahead. By doing so, I make it so that we each have one piece next to the rook, so we have equal control, which means either one of us can now move this rook, but neither of us can make a capture with it. Okay, we get this nook, or a combination of a knight and a rook, developed out to d8. It is targeting this pawn, which you'd imagine I should make some effort to defend. Oh, that's the other thing. I believe all pawns, except for baby pawns, which just work as normal pawns, can develop 3 squares straight ahead. So I can actually just support that center pawn with one of my other pawns. Okay, it's decided to move the nook, or rather the rook, back to j8. Thereby actually claiming control over it. I didn't even think about that. Right, because now it has this pawn next to the rook. On the other hand, I think this pawn is free now, right? Because my anti-queen, or really just my knight, can capture that pawn. Should the bishop take back, I recapture with my queen. And I don't think any of the funky rules would punish me for that. So let me be greedy. Let me grab this pawn, which I believe is free. Okay, we get pawn straight ahead, and there is another rule in this game, which is that en passant is forced. So you'll see if I highlight any of my other pieces, it gives me that subtle red arrow that suggests, hey, you definitely have to en passant here. So I guess there's nothing to think about. I'm just going to go ahead and en passant this pawn. Okay, queen takes queen. Luckily, there's no queen versus queen rule that would put me in trouble. So I should just be able to take back. Oh, but then oh my goodness, I was going to say I've just lost my anti-pawn. Right, because by inducing a forced en passant, it's managed to trade off the queens, which means there's nobody defending this anti-knight anymore. So that was free, but it seems to have decided to instead take over this rook. So it does give me a chance to escape. Let's go ahead and centralize it. Why not? Okay, it takes the nook and captures this pawn. I also wonder how strong this engine is. It might be a super duper strong engine, or it might be like functioning at max capacity, but hopefully not. Okay, so this nook now threatens this pawn. You'd imagine I should defend it. Okay, we do get long castles, which does put me in check. I think naturally I should move the king out of the way. Oh no, why would I do that to myself? I literally used this rule in the intro, which is that if your bishop sees an underage pawn, which is an insane joke, but okay, if your bishop sees an underage pawn, it does have to capture it, even if it's a friendly pawn. So my only legal move here is to take, and this is a king capture variant. I have no doubt that I'm just about to lose my king. So I do have to take. And it does, in fact, capture my king. And with that, I do lose to the Anarchy bot. I could play against the weaker version of this bot, the lobotomized bot, or I could find an actual human player to test my skills against. And I think I'd rather do that. Okay, unfortunately, I couldn't find a human player to play against, but if you guys want to check this out, you will be able to find other humans, since I'm now making a video about this, and the first link in the description down below will be directly to the Anarchy Chess website. This is not a sponsored video, but I'm always happy to shout out fun games that I try out on the channel. So as you can see, we do have the lobotomized Anarchy bot, which hopefully plays random moves or something similar to that. My very first turn, I genuinely think I have a lot to gain from immediately taking over one of these rooks. Okay, it decides to push its pawn. Maybe I can do the same thing for the other rook as well. So I'm going to develop my pawn towards the center as well. The knight comes out, which does cover that square. So were I to develop this bishop, I would simply hang it. But maybe I can push this pawn instead. Oh, I could have pushed an extra square. They all move 3 squares at a time on their first turn. Okay, I'm going to sneakily make my way up. The Nook does come over and court this neutral rook, but I'm going to try and kick it out with my pawn. Nice, it advances, so now we both have even control over this rook, which I really can't be too mad about. Oh, and you know what? My bishop actually sees this Nook, so I can just take you. Okay, wonderful. The horse does in fact take back, but I think that is an advantageous material trade. Not to mention, I'm going to come and bother him right away. I'm going to develop my Nook and target this horse. Pawn comes out to place some pressure on that neutral rook. Why can't I take you? Oh, because the Nook only moves 2 squares like a rook, not fully like a rook. Okay, I'll advance 1 square to actually target this horse. We get another pawn coming out to defend it. This lobotomized bot is rather strong. Let's develop our own horse, get some pieces out into the game. Checker's piece comes out to play, but I don't think I have anything to fear there. Let's develop towards the center. And we do get a baby pawn or an underage pawn out to d8. Let's just develop some more pieces. Checker's piece comes out to play, but it's not actually threatening anything, so I'll develop my own. Oh, but I can jump. Is it going to force me to? Oh, it is. Okay, because I'm jumping over this underage pawn, it's going to force me to go as far as d5. I don't think I'd be mad about trading it off for the horse, though. So let's do that. We'll jump it out to d5. Okay, this random pawn move on the side of the board comes out. I could actually capture it with my bishop, but the queen would take back, and I don't think that's advantageous for me. So let's castle the king instead. Hello? Can I castle, please? Oh, there we go. Okay, we've castled. Their knight comes out to play, or rather their anti-queen comes out to play as well. Now, what else do I have here? You'd imagine I should just focus on developing what pieces I have left. So let's get this queen out into the center. Pawn pushes straight ahead. So it does have control over this neutral rook now, right? It has a horse and a pawn next to it, whereas I only have a single pawn. It's not a huge concern, but I'm going to defend this pawn so that the rook and the queen can't coordinate to take it for free. We do get this underage pawn coming out a little bit further. Let's make some trouble for this horse. Can I offer a horse trade? Wait, what is it? It's telling me I have to move my bishop back? But why? I don't want to move my bishop back. Oh, is it because there's like a bouncing bishop rule or something? I think I read something about that. I genuinely have no idea why it's forcing me to do this. Okay, I'm pretty sure, I really don't know why it's forcing me to do this, but I'd imagine it's going to force me to take my own pawn, which is a little bit of a shame, but let's go ahead and do that. And bye-bye to the underage pawn. Okay, actually, luckily, it has to do the exact same thing in return. It's developed its own underage pawn into the line of sight of a bishop, so it also loses a pawn. Now, let's move this bishop out of the way, and I'm targeting this checkers piece with my rook. We get pawn straight ahead, which does defend this checkers piece by discovery. The bishop does have eyes on it now. For a lobotomized bot, like I said, it's pretty darn good. Okay, you know what? Maybe. No, I'm just going to grab some more center space. Let's push this little underage pawn to the center. All right, this anti-queen comes out to the middle as well. All right, let's go ahead and keep pushing into the middle of the board. We're threatening a fork here. Oh, but we've just hung a pawn for no reason. Okay, let's get this bishop out of here then. We'll offer a trade. How's that? The bishop does in fact take. I can recapture with this rook, and then not only would I have, of course, taken back the bishop, but instead of having a singular pawn next to this rook, I really lay claim over it since I'd have 4 pieces adjacent to it. Okay, this pawn takes. You'd imagine I can take back. Okay, I'm not sure why it's giving this up, because this is basically a knight. This is a relatively good piece, and I can in fact recapture. Okay, so far so good. I'm pretty happy with how that trade panned out. Let's go and put the king in check, just because I can. Okay, this is Anarchy chess, so of course the king can just castle out of check. Because why not? Okay, I could take this pawn, but then I'd lose control over this rook, which I'm not super excited about. I would love to give this check. That would be absolutely insane. The problem is, of course, the enemy queen sees that square. So what else can I do? Oh, you know what I can do? I can double click on my queen and decay her into a pawn, a knight, and a rook. And since it is technically worth about the same, I really should have nothing to fear. Plus, I kind of just want to do it. So I should be able to double click my queen. And as you can see, we have this sickly green pawn, which signifies that this pawn can never promote to a queen. It can promote to anything else. Because this is Anarchy chess, that actually does include a pawn, but it can never promote back into a queen, but I do get a rook and a knight. We do get this pawn push. I'm just going to trade it off. I've kind of given up on trying to lay claim over this rook, plus it's not like it can really do anything, right? It's kind of trapped horizontally by its own pawns, and it can't go anywhere down here without just getting captured. The other thing I can do is I can combine this rook and my knight, or rather my horse, to turn it into a nook. Voila! Isn't he stunning? So now I have 2 nooks on the board, as well as 2 rooks and a horse. So a very fashionable array of pieces going on here. Queen comes out to play, does target my checkers piece. I should probably protect it. Not that I really care about it, to be honest. Also, it's laying claim over this rook. So maybe I should try and keep it here. Right, it currently has 2 attackers, but I guess technically it also has 2 defenders. So maybe I don't have to react to that at all. Instead, let's bring this nook. Oh, but it can only move 2 squares at a time. Okay, let's start the process of bringing it over to the king side where I think it will actually be, a productive member of society. Okay, let's develop this nook as well, targeting this newly weakened pawn. We get a pawn push in return, targeting the checkers piece. Should I move it, I just lose the nook behind it for free, since this nook is too far away to actually defend it. But I really don't think that's the greatest of my concerns. In fact, I'm just going to ignore this checkers piece. I mean, it was nice to have it, but I really just don't care about it that much. I'm going to keep bringing more pieces into my king side attack, because you can kind of see it has most of its pieces on what I'm going to call the queen side, whereas I am slowly starting to have more of my pieces on the king side. There's really nobody hanging out here to defend the king, so I'm pretty optimistic about this attack. Now, okay, I could sacrifice this rook, right? The bishop would take back, I'd recapture with my nook, and I feel like I'd have a pretty concrete attack here. The problem is I'd lose control over this rook, but I don't really know what that rook is going to do that I have to be scared of. So I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice right away. Bishop does take back, I'll recapture with my nook, and the pawn advances. So the queen sees my nook, and the nook sees nothing, because it can only see as far as 2 squares. But I can bring my other rook down to coordinate, right? Defends the nook, targets the queen. Queen moves out of the way. Now, let's bring even more pieces, or do I just take right now? The problem is if I take right away, this underage pawn comes in with a crazy fork. So maybe I bring more pieces first. Okay, the rook comes out to play. Now if I take, is it any better? The pawn advances all the same, but then I can push past and give this intermediate check. So I do think I save myself there. Okay, we get this pawn advancing instead. I can't really take that because obviously black has control over this neutral rook, which would simply take back. Okay, how to continue this attack? There has to be a way. Aha, let's go nook back here, giving check. King does in fact move out of the way. And now, how to proceed? I need a good idea and I need it ASAP. I could sacrifice, but the problem is the queen also defends that pawn. So that's not really on the table. There is also a rule where if the kings end up touching, it is an automatic draw. So worst comes to worst, maybe I just run the king down the side of the board and try to force a draw. But I need to stay optimistic about this attack. The question is, how do I actually follow through on it? Okay, let's bring... the problem is if I bring this guy into the equation, the neutral rook can just take me, and while I can take back, I basically lose what is shared territory for my anti-queen, which doesn't feel very fair. Okay, let's move this nook out of the way so I can introduce the rook into the attack. This rook shuffles over. Wait, that has to do absolutely nothing, surely. Not to mention, I kind of want to play my horse here to try and boot the queen off this diagonal and then take here with my nook. And there's almost certainly forced mate at that point, if I can force that onto the board. My other option is to just give check. I guess the rook would come in and defend. I'm not so convinced by that. Okay, let's bring the horse into the equation. Queen does move out of the way, but she stays on the diagonal defending the underaged pawn. Is there any way for me to get her off this diagonal? Well, actually, you'd imagine I could just move my rook here, right? Defended by the nook. And then once I capture with check, then I can move my rook back out of the way. That might actually be viable. Okay, let's give that a try. Okay, queen takes. I mean, I did just lose a horse, but maybe I can justify it with some sort of crazy forced checkmate. Okay, so move number 1. Obviously, I'm going to take. King moves closer to the nook, a risky decision. Now, I can take here. Oh, no, I can't, because the nook only defends a distance of 2, so I actually don't see this nook with my other one. But what I can do is move down to I9, and I'm threatening, oh, wait a minute, I'd be threatening mate in 1. The problem is there's this wackadoodle check back here. I defend with my anti-queen, and I don't see a follow-up. I might be crazy, but I don't think there's a follow-up there. Let's come in with the nook. Okay, what on earth just happened here? Oh, it decayed into a whole bunch of different pieces, which has to be even worse, right? Because now it definitely doesn't have an attack. So is this just mate? It's not checkmate. This is a king capture variant. But as far as the game is concerned, this is basically checkmate. And I am down 10 points of material, I've just noticed as well, which is really not ideal. But this should be checkmate. Nice, rook moves out of the way, I can capture the king, and all it took was a very simple lobotomy for me to finally defeat the Anarchy bot. Oh my gosh, they have the, wait, I have to show you guys this. They have the copy pasta from, who was it? I don't remember who it was now, but some grandmaster, when I think he was called out for cheating. They have a copy pasta of his rant, and that is the official response of the lobotomized Anarchy bot to our victory. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. You can go check out the Anarchy Chess website for yourself down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, let me know if I should play this on stream sometime. I feel like this would be a very, very fun content piece to do live. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.